Hi, I'm Mark from Mobilent. Instead of just going over the specs, I'd like to talk about what it's actually like to ride the Factor 1. The headwind was incredibly strong this morning. I could actually feel the arched bayonet fork slicing through the oncoming wind, and it was amazing to feel the handlebars stabilize as the bike just surged forward. Since it's an aero bike, I expected some side wind interference, especially with the deep 62mm black ink wheel set. However, thanks to the aerodynamic airflow, the steering stayed perfectly steady without any wobbling, even in crosswinds. That was a surprising and genuinely fun part of the ride. The faster you go, the more the bayonet fork reduces the impact of side winds. It was a truly unique sensation, plus the large black ink lettering on the wheels looked great and matched the frame perfectly. After coming down the Haogogai descent, I stopped by Jigu Hanbakui, a shop that sells and services Factor bikes. They really wanted to try it out, so of course I let them take it for a spin. After a brief test ride, we all came to the same conclusion. The ride quality of this bike is absolutely outstanding. The seat post angle is steeper than most bikes, so I thought it might be harsh, but the balance of weight and the compliance of the carbon fiber weave created a perfect harmony. And that's on a 28 C-clincher setup, not even tubeless. To explain the frame stiffness compared to other top-tier bikes I've ridden, just look at this beefy bottom bracket. It has that distinct solid feel of a world-class machine, offering great power transfer, responsiveness, and comfort all at once. The handling was another point we all agreed on. Unlike other bikes, the steering feel is quite unique when you're dancing on the pedals or sprinting. If you ride it with the same rhythm and posture as a conventional bike, it can feel a bit out of sync at low speeds. But the more time I spent on it, the more I began to understand how this bike wants to be ridden. I eventually got used to it. Once you hit speeds over 30 kilometers per hour, the handling stabilizes and the bike starts to glide forward effortlessly. It truly felt like the pinnacle of aero road bikes. Under current conditions, with the headwinds, the terrain, and especially my own fitness level, I'm basically in low battery mode. To really extract the aero performance that kicks in at 40 to 50 kilometers per hour, I had no choice but to head for the descents. That's why I went to Haogogai. Even though the wind was howling on the flats and the climbs, I tucked in, stayed planted on the saddle, and pushed through all the way to the summit. They say it's a bike built for racing, but there's no rush on the uphills, right? Since I don't typically use a bike computer, the descent was essentially a blind test. With my camera gear and the fact that I'm still getting used to the bike, I couldn't push it to its absolute limit. I had to slow down a bit and hop over the speed bumps. The bike was equipped with SRAM red brakes, and the stopping power was impressive, feeling as if the pads were firmly gripping the rotors. It provided excellent braking performance. The weight distribution is slightly forward biased, so it's better to shift your weight back on the saddle during descents. As speed builds, the fork keeps the front end rock solid, allowing for a fast and stable descent, which I really loved. It felt like I was truly in control of the machine. Since it's a brand new bike, you might hear a clicking sound from the head tube during jumps or landings. This isn't a defect. It happened with my other bikes too. Carbon bikes often need a bit of ride time for the head tube, steerer, bearings, and stem to settle in and be readjusted. Jumping at high speeds, I noticed the hang time felt longer than on other bikes. It really takes flight. That was thrilling and a lot of fun. After finishing the descent, I took some shots of the bike at Jigu Hanbakui. You can see quite a few Factor frames here. The Onyx Black Factor 1. I saw at the last exhibition was actually assembled right here. While riding, I caught a glimpse of myself in a mirror. I was honestly shocked by how aggressive my position looked. I knew the bike was long, but I didn't realize it would be this aggressive. Riding on the hoods puts you in an aero tuck by default. Usually your back straightens up a bit on the hoods, but this bike is clearly designed for pure racing. This build features a 24-speed SRAM red drivetrain, and there are bonus buttons on the hoods. Using these for shifting makes you feel like you're in a time trial position. Despite that, I didn't experience any back pain or physical discomfort. The shop owner mentioned the handlebars are at their lowest setting, so those looking for more comfort might want to swap some parts. However, I enjoyed how this race-ready setup rewarded me with pure speed. Another feature is the slightly lower bottom bracket BB position. This is due to the trend of shorter crank arms on modern bikes. This M-sized frame would usually have 175mm cranks, but Factor used 165mm ones here. To compensate for the center of gravity, the BB was lowered. Just like cars, a lower center of gravity leads to more stable cornering. Let's summarize the key points of the new Factor frame and fork. Factor developed this bike to be the fastest road bike possible under the newly relaxed UCI regulations. The frame currently retails for 8.9 million Korean won. The frame is a blend of Textreme, Toray, and Nippon Graphite pitch-based high-modulus carbon. They spared no expense on the materials. But the most impressive part isn't just the material, it's the shape. They broke free from traditional fork constraints to re-engineer airflow. If you look at the bayonet fork from the front, it's thin as a finger to slice through the air. It's that extreme sleekness you can only get with an external steerer structure. As you can see, it's built to cut through the wind. The fork and handlebars are integrated into a single unit. Technologies first developed for cutting-edge track bikes have been applied here. The shim fairing system at the front manages turbulence from the tire and provides incredible stability and aero gains, even in crosswinds over 15 degrees. Normally, tight spaces between the fork and wheel cause spillover drag, but Factor widened this gap to ensure smooth airflow and reduce drag. This aerodynamic design flows seamlessly to the rear of the frame. As a result, the fork acts almost like a sail on a ship. It sheds headwind quickly and actually gains speed in crosswinds. The biggest advantage is that it stays incredibly stable even in deep crosswinds. And honestly, the best part is just how cool the bike looks.